Minutes past the 8 o'clock hour. Chris Lenois back with you on the Green Mountain Mornings program. We're so comfortable sitting here having conversations with Roland from BCTV and Chris Mays of the Brattleboro Farm. I was like, oh my gosh, we actually have to go on the air here. Good morning to you, Chris.
Good morning, Chris.
Appreciate you joining me this morning. All right, no more talk about hypoallergenic dogs or anything happening in your personal life. Chris is getting a dog, by the way. So just
I didn't tell you, but it is my birthday.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Happy birthday to you then, sir. So, well, thank you for spending a little time with us this morning during your birthday celebration. So is that the reason? Is the present the dog?
No, it's not. It's just how all the planning worked out.
Right, because you're getting a dog. All right, now we have to say, you have a slight allergy to dogs.
Yeah.
But you're getting a dog.
Yep.
On your birthday.
Yep.
Because?
Well, my girlfriend really wants one, and she kind of convinced me, and I'm into it now.
All right, indeed. Yeah, you've been around dogs. It's not that you dislike dogs, right? You like dogs.
Oh yeah, I like dogs.
All right, so picking up a dog later today for his birthday. Don't put candles on the dog. All right, keep that for the cake.
Okay.
All right, that's my advice. Lots to talk about today here as we head into Representative Town Meeting in Brattleboro this Saturday. I'm going to be live tweeting that again, by the way, Chris, and I know you're a tweeter as well. So hashtag BratTM.
Okay.
And we'll kind of exchange some information in the social media realm if people aren't able to attend in person or watch it on Brattleboro Community Television's channels because they're going to be broadcasting it live. But talk a little bit about, you were at the meeting last week, the briefing for the Representative Town Meeting members as well as the Select Board. We're talking $17.4 million budget for the town, and not a lot as far as property tax increases.
No, a 3.5 cent tax increase, and that's largely due to a surplus. It's the town has a bigger surplus than they've anticipated, so they're going to apply a bunch of that money to the tax rate and keep it somewhat manageable, I guess.
Yeah. There's a almost $2.8 million in surplus, and using just over $1 million of that to bring the property tax down from almost 7.5% increase. 7.3% is the exact number of the property tax increase without this surplus and using these one-time funds, and that's largely because of the police fire facility project this year, right?
Yeah, it's kind of being summarized that way. Like the chairman, David Gartenstein, has said, this increase reflects the increase of the first year of bond payments for the police fire project.
Because other than that, the way it's characterized in here by Chair Gartenstein is essentially a level-funded budget.
Yeah. I think they've kind of balanced different things out, an increase here, but a decrease there, and things just seem to work out this year.
So with regards to that, even though it's a minimal increase, some people in this town, especially in the representative town meeting body, think any increase is too much of an increase. Was there pushback on that at the meeting last Wednesday?
No, not at all. There really wasn't much talk about the budget itself. People kind of had questions about energy efficiency. I think town meeting reps might push for the board to do more in that vein, but other than that, I didn't hear much about the budget.
Would you say that a good portion of the representatives came to the meeting?
Yeah.
It was well attended by the reps?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't counting, but all the seats were full, so I'd like to think they had an idea of how many reps there are, and yeah. Yeah,
and having been on that body previously, people do take that seriously, that chance to get a briefing and talk to members of the select board and town officials in advance of the representative town meeting.
Yeah, at least one representative spoke out in support of the raise that's been given to town employees, saying that they deserve it. And
yeah, that was one of the things that is going up, an increase, and you mentioned this in your article, the 1% to 2% range increase for town employees. That just seems like, It's cost of living kind of stuff, really, when
Yeah.
we're talking about that. Regarding energy and energy efficiency, I know right now there's been some back and forth with regards to the energy coordinator position. Was that what the conversation was about at the meeting, about hiring an energy coordinator? Because that's something that has been discussed at Representative Town Meeting in the past, and with Paul Cameron leaving the community now, it seems to me that they're basically going to have that be a volunteer position, or did that come up as a paid position?
Yeah, that didn't come up at the
Okay.
meeting, but I think the idea is to have it be a voluntary position for now, and it hasn't been filled yet. They had a deadline to fill the position, and then nothing happened with it, and so they extended the deadline.
Now, last year at Representative Town Meeting, there was a motion to increase the salaries for members of the select board to essentially make it a full-time position. I think $20,000 for members of the board, $25,000 for the chair. Finance Committee for Representative Town Meeting said they would look into this and come back with recommendations. They talked a little bit about this at the meeting last week as well.
Yeah, the chairman of the finance committee said they haven't really gotten a clear answer about what would be the right payment, but they have a survey and the results are going to be ready for town meeting.
So they didn't disclose the survey results. They just said, I saw that right, Franz Reichsman talking about how there isn't like a consistency in how this is handled from community to community.
Yeah.
But they have some more information that will be revealed at Representative Town Meeting.
Yeah.
Ooh, the big reveal.
He didn't really make it sound like it was going to be a game changer in any way, but he did say the results would be ready, so we'll see what the discussion brings.
Yeah, well, I wonder if it'll be in comparison to a mayor's salary. Just saying, we'll leave that aside for the time. What are some other items coming up? Because you're talking about not just the budget itself, but some different articles that the representatives at town meeting are going to be taking up on Saturday. What are some of those?
Well, they're going to vote on the downtown organization's budget of $75,000, and then the one thing that might be controversial is the SEVIDS funding, Southeastern Vermont Economic Development Strategies. The group had asked for $3 a resident, but the town is proposing $2 a resident. So you might have some people from SEVIDS stand up. There was no one at the informational meeting standing up to represent the organization, but I'm sure there will be someone there at Representative Town Meeting.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be an amendment from the floor to try and up that to the $3 per person amount, and then perhaps recognizing somebody from SEVIDS to speak, unless maybe there's a member of SEVIDS who was on the Representative Town Meeting body. We'll have to see. And then the Indigenous Peoples Day is on there as well. The official recognition, after doing it non-binding last year, it's actually an agenda item this year. So hopefully that will go through as well. Now, there was an announcement during that meeting as well last week by Chair David Gartenstein about talks with the town and the state about leasing the office space in the municipal center that is being vacated by the police. Then your article goes on to speak to Bill LaFerrier. Is that how you say his name? Who is the property manager director for the state. Didn't seem to me like he was as excited and making it sound like it was as big a deal as David Gartenstein.
No, he was way more reserved about it. You know, he said something about how negotiations was kind of a loose term for it.
Okay.
And so I don't know. He was a little hesitant to characterize it as negotiations, but he said there is an interest. I mean, the state has a couple of buildings around the municipal center, so it makes sense to be interested.
Well, it does, but there were tweets from that meeting and after that meeting. I actually don't think it was from you. I think it was from somebody else I saw a tweet who was present at the meeting talking about it like it was a big piece of news. So then to go and follow up afterwards and to see it all get kind of tamped down to me was interesting. Do you think there's a disconnect in terms of on behalf of Chair Gartenstein and the town of Brattleboro as to what their expectations are? Are they overselling this?
I'm thinking maybe the representatives from the state they're talking to are in a different place than maybe the man I spoke to.
Yeah, certainly seemed that way from that conversation and that comment you got from Bill LaFerrier about that. That is in a recent edition of the Reformer. I can't remember. I didn't write down which day that one came out on, but you can find it on reformer.com under Chris Mays' byline. We will continue our conversation with Chris. You can join us 802-254-5286 after the bottom of the hour news break. 32 degrees outside at 21 minutes before the 9 o'clock hour. Green Mountain Mornings continuing now. Your host, Chris Lenois, visiting with Chris Mays of the Brattleboro Reformer, talking about some of the stories he's covered in the past week, and you can find online at reformer.com. The meeting with the Select Board and the representatives in advance of Saturday's Representative Town Meeting, one of two big meetings you've covered of late. You had a series of stories last week coming from the Wyndham Solid Waste Management Board of Advisors meeting that happened the previous week. But these things, I think, just like the Representative Town Meeting story is impacting finances, I wanted to go back to this Wyndham Solid Waste Management District story, because this is, again, we're talking about money for people in the towns. And just right off the bat, talk a little about they voted for some new fees for members of the district. Now, let's say right off the bat, we're not talking about Brattleboro when we're talking about these fees, right? We're talking about the other member towns, or does this include Brattleboro as well?
It's for anyone who comes into the district. For
coming into the district.
Yeah.
So because Brattleboro no longer, they have their trash picked up by Triple T, but anybody who's bringing their trash to dispose of it at the Old Ferry Road facility basically is going to have to pay this fee. So I guess, yeah, you're right. It could impact a Brattleboro resident as well.
Yeah. The board is trying to avoid having to go to all the member towns and ask them for more,
raise their right.
Yeah, to raise their assessments. So they're going to take out a $70,000 loan, and one of the ways that they're going to guarantee that they're going to pay that back is by raising two of the fees and creating a new fee.
Right, and these fees, when people bring their trash, $1 for any monetary transaction. Basically, it's like a $1 service fee for coming to Old Ferry Road.
Yeah, and they want to make it clear, if you go out to your car and come back with another load, you're not going to be charged $2. It's just going to be your visit, basically, your one transaction.
So you get that pass for the day, I guess, and that's where the fee is assessed. And then any minimal load, the minimum amount you pay is now $15 instead of $10.
Yeah.
And then this other part about tons of garbage, I got to assume that applies more to commercial.
Right, yeah.
I mean, I don't know anybody who's bringing a ton of garbage over to Old Ferry Road. At least I hope not. I'd hate to see your yard if that's the case. But the $70,000 loan, that's actually a small amount of money when you think about it in terms of what they take to operate. What is the $70,000 specifically for?
Well, what happened was with the materials recovery facility, they're basically blaming it on the market. They thought they were going to bring in more money than they would, and they haven't. So they're facing this deficit
of about $100,000. So because you add up what they think to get from these fees, it's about $27,000 that they expect to get from that. And then the $70,000 loan. And this is all for the one-time costs of closing down the materials recovery facility, also known as the MRF?
No, this is just debt.
Operational.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're actually going to get some money back when they close the MRF, and they're also going to be getting money for the solar project, which is going to be sited there.
And this has all gone through. The fees were approved. The loan was approved. The Board of Supervisors signed off on these.
Yes.
Okay. Despite some of the things that, the lead to your story about this with the letter from the Whitingham Select Board, where it talks about gross mismanagement of the WSWMD, a letter that they wrote to other select boards about being concerned about it, and using a term like gross mismanagement of the district. What was Bob Spencer's response to that, the executive director?
He didn't really respond to the letter. It wasn't read aloud at the meeting. Actually, that's wrong. The Brattleboro Rep, John Allen, was only allowed to read a sentence or two about it before they voted. But I think people just realize that it's an issue, and people are worried about making it worse.
Well, gross mismanagement and lack of fiscal responsibility, and then they just voted to allow them to borrow $70,000. Seems to me that would come up as more of a conversation piece in the discussion of approving it.
Well, the chairman, Lou Bruso, mentioned he felt uncomfortable going out for a $100,000 loan, but with these fees and with this money coming in for the solar project, he felt a lot more comfortable going with the $70,000
with a smaller
loan.
amount. Yeah, that's an important thing, that they were originally going to borrow $100,000, got it down to $70,000. There was
Well,
also
actually, there was talk of $150,000 at one point too.
Oh, really?
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, they cut it in half. That's some more responsibility.
Yeah.
There was another vote here. Again, some of these member towns wanting to keep the MRF open. And again, it was Brattleboro being the 800-pound gorilla in the room with their 6 votes. What was exactly this fee-for-service model that they were hoping to propose that was defeated?
Well, they were talking about opening up the doors again to the MRF and having towns participate, but paying a price for it. You know, since Brattleboro's already made the commitment to go elsewhere, it wouldn't make sense for all the towns to pay for it.
So essentially, still being able to bring your recycling to Old Ferry Road, and much like when you bring your trash there, you just pay a fee, much like you're paying now for the fees, rather than having come out of the assessment. Is that am I characterizing that correctly?
Well, the towns transfer stations and pickup and and drop boxes, you know, those would still be around, I guess.
So the towns would be paying that fee, not the customers taking it to Old Ferry Road.
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes more sense. Why is Brattleboro against this? Why'd they vote this down?
Because they're already going to Casella in Rutland. They're having Triple T bring their recycling there.
Right.
And
so would this cost them any money? If it's a fee for service for the towns that are bringing their stuff to the MRF,
yeah, the towns would be charged.
Brattleboro would be still?
Well, no. But,
okay, right. So that's what I'm trying to say. If they talked about why would they be opposed to this plan when it doesn't financially affect the town of Brattleboro?
Well, there's 2 things. There's I think they're interested in expanding the composting program.
Right.
And they're very aware of how it's basically it takes too much money to run it. You know, they're going to keep having a deficit, so they're kind of looking at it as a financial prudence point of view.
Yeah, well, certainly they need to have more financial prudence. It was just interesting to me that if they have removed themselves, and maybe I'm misunderstanding it, but if they've removed themselves from the financial responsibility of the MRF, why they would be opposed to a plan where the other member towns would be taking financial responsibility for the MRF. But maybe that's something we can get some more clarification from John Allen, who is the representative for the town of Brattleboro on that Board of Supervisors. New leadership at the Board of Supervisors coming up. This was a very active meeting of the Wyndham Solid Waste Management District. Lou Bruso, the chair who you referred to earlier, when did he make this announcement that he was resigning?
Day.
The following day.
Yeah.
Okay, so not at the meeting.
Yeah.
Just sent an email out.
Yeah, I ran into one of the reps and they said, "Oh, did you hear Lou's not going to be seeking re-election, or he doesn't want the chairman position anymore."
Now you spoke with him, or did he just email you in response?
Yeah, no, I spoke with him.
Okay,
yeah.
And his reasoning for it?
He said 8 years is enough for me.
8 years is enough, and he's stepping away from serving on the select board in Jamaica as well. So it seems like a decision.
He's going to be a lister now.
He's going to be a lister now. So it seems like just a step back from some of these leadership roles. But you got to wonder how much the contentiousness of the Board of Advisors over the last couple of years has been in terms of playing a role in his decision.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be stressful, the vote to close the MRF,
Any thoughts on who will step into that role as chair?
No, I've asked Bob Spencer, and he's not sure yet, and I've asked other members, and I haven't really heard anyone, dying to do it.
How does that, is it just voted on by the other members of the board? Is it somebody gets nominated and then they just vote amongst the member towns?
Yeah.
Okay, they'll do that at the next meeting, I presume?
Yeah, they're expecting that will be done.
All right. So those are some of the don't want to make it sound like it's all negative news coming from the district, because yet another story, I kind of teased you at the Bernie Sanders rally. I said, how many stories are you going to get out of this Wyndham Solid Waste Management District meeting? Because you had several, including this other one from SkySolar, who is doing the solar array at the closed landfill, now also considering a bioenergy park. I guess first define for us what a bioenergy park is.
Well,
I'm picturing rides,
Yeah.
Petting zoo.
Renewable energy rides.
Yeah. Solar powered
Well,
loop-de-loop roller coasters.
yeah,
Let's hope not.
they have the solar project, which is going through the Public Service Board right now, and they just got their permits approved from the Agency of Natural Resources, which is a big step in the right direction. But they're also talking about expanding the composting program and getting this anaerobic digestion system, which Bob Spencer is he's a consultant on many projects like this around the world. Actually, he's told me. And he said a lot of the times they'll study it and it doesn't really, the numbers don't work out, so they don't end up going with this system. But here they're seeing that there might be a possibility that this could work out for the company that's proposing it, as well as the district.
Right, for SkySolar,
Yeah.
right? The carbon harvest facility that's there, to me, probably plays a huge role. The former group there that was trying to start that aquaculture venture at Old Ferry Road, that's kind of the basis for this park.
Yeah, the SkySolar is taking over the landfill gas generation facility. They're still going to work with Dynamo Organics down there, but they're trying to expand, everything.
Could be a cool thing there. I mean, to think about that, to have the solar array and the anaerobic digester, a lot of chances for the towns, all the member towns, to save some money as this project gets underway. So basically what they were deciding on there was trying to get funds to study this further, right?
Yeah, they want to apply to, the Wyndham Regional Commission Renewable Energy Program.
Right, a matching grant that Sky would use to look further into this possibility. So this is a long way off. This is still speculative.
Yeah, I forget when he said it was going to, I think it was like half a year or so that it was going to take to come back with any type of answers about it.
Right. So shifting our attention now from Brattleboro over to the Deerfield Valley and to Mount Snow, and a story you had, I believe this was in Monday's paper, I believe this was in yesterday's paper, about Mount Snow's pipeline construction. That's certainly a project that we're finally seeing with the release of the EB5 money. This is something that is actually, I was part of Mount Snow